protection. We pray for their wisdom. We ask you to lead this mayor and this council in all decisions. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Please rise for the pledge.
You can go here. If you want to talk, just take it off mute, but the dogs are going to create background noise. Thanks.
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Council need a motion on the regular council minutes for the
Motion to adopt.
Have a motion to adopt. All in favor, raise your hand.
6 with Mrs. Graham abstaining.
Okay. Mr. Mayor, you up.
That was fast. Good evening.
Good evening.
Mr. President, I want to thank you and the members of the council for the work you're doing in the community. I want to jump right into my executive summary. I'd like to just share with you. You know, we know that right now is a time of great uncertainty and agony and sickness due to the impact of the COVID-19 virus. It is unlikely that the virus will dissipate soon to a level that will allow each of us to resume a level of normalcy that we knew prior to March. Consequently, not only is the virus affecting our daily activities, it is also causing havoc on our local economy. With that being said, I want to present to you a slide that is reflective of how revenues for the city of Montgomery have already declined compared to the same month in the previous fiscal year. As you can see here, sales and use taxes have declined 18.1% compared to May of 2019. Since April of the current year, sales and use taxes have declined 12.5%. We're looking at that. The decline in April for sales and use taxes declined from a positive 1.9% to a negative 6.05%. The overall revenue from sales and use taxes has a growth rate of 2.96% compared to total collections through May 2019. Let's switch over to lodging taxes now. Lodging taxes are down, and this is not a misprint, 76.5% compared to May 2019. The decline from March to April was 39.3%. The hotel occupancy rate in April was 31%, which explains the decline in collections by the city for May's returns by the lodging sector. Overall, year-to-date, lodging tax revenue is down pretty much 10%, 9.88% compared to the same time fiscal year 2019. The gasoline taxes. Gasoline taxes compared to May 2019 are down 37.65%. Naturally, this is attributed to less travel by citizens and a lack of tourists in the city in April. The growth rate for gasoline is up 2.65% overall compared to the fiscal year 2019. Although alcoholic beverage taxes were up 57.01% in April, the May collections declined 14.83% compared to a year ago, so you round that up to 15%. Overall, this tax has a growth rate of 4.39% compared to the period of October 2018 through 2019. These numbers represent May's returns from sales and use, lodging, gasoline, and alcoholic beverage taxes, which is for sales by business entities in the city in the month of April. If the decline in these sectors are an indicator of the decline for total revenue at the end of the fiscal year, the city will have a revenue shortfall that is in line with the projection of anywhere from $23 to $28 million. Additionally, revenues from the city's seasonal venues for baseball, Councilman Pruitt, and softball, football, and tennis tournaments will not be fully realized because of the impact of COVID-19. If the city, you can go to the next slide. If the city opens sports venues soon, some of the revenue would be collectible. However, time is getting shorter for scheduling tournaments, which normally begins in early spring. The tournaments have always been big revenue generators for the city in terms of tourism. In addition to having access to a $35 million line of credit, I put the following measures in place for the remainder of the current fiscal year in order to circumvent some of the projected shortfall in revenue. A departmental operating budget cut of 10%, which should result in $6 million. Purchasing absolutely only what is needed in order for departments to operate efficiently, hiring only essential personnel. We have also shared directives with our cabinet secretaries and our department heads that we will have a zero-based budgeting process with an activity-based budget priority. And essentially what that means is our cabinet secretaries understand that, cabinet directors, understand that we are to start the budget at $0, and you're to build that budget out from $0, not based on what we've done last year, not what has been the historical tradition, but at $0, and you build up from there based on those priorities of activities that are essential to the function of your department. That's somewhat different than maybe some have done it before, but that is the only way I've known in my 25 plus years in working, those first four being as a budget analyst for American Airlines. And so that's the way I approach budgeting, and that's the way I expect our cabinet to approach it, and I have no doubt they will do so, because I think that will assist us in identifying some areas that we might want to have in the budget, but some things that we just cannot afford to have in this next fiscal year. So it's important that they understand that, which they do, and they've already started to work on that. Those are things that are very critical to us getting to a number that will work, so that we don't have to try to use too many other instruments any more than we have to in order to balance our budget and to make sure we bring forth a budget that will work for this entire city. It's going to be painful, it's going to be different, but we're going to try to do the best with what we have. And so, as I stated in the last city council meeting, we're planning for the worst, still hoping for the best. If that next stimulus act comes and we are able to get reimbursements to cities, that may change some things. There's momentum there, as we have been told by our government relations firm in DC in one of the houses of Congress, not so much in the other. So we'll see if they can find some middle ground that may allow cities to soften the blow of the impact that we've taken from the COVID-19 pandemic. With that said, I just want to highlight Chief Finley and the Montgomery Police Department for the exemplary work that they've done over the last few days. Chief Finley won't toot his horn, so I'll blow it for him. I'll lean on the horn for him, because we've seen civil unrest turn into some serious situations in other cities in Alabama, not just across this country, right here in Alabama, where we've seen tear gas deployed, we've seen rubber bullets used, and we've seen other forceful forms of protest have to be quelled by our police. In this city, I think Chief Finley and his department, because of his leadership and his connectivity to the community, has been able to keep that to a minimum, and we are knocking on wood that continues. But I just want to say that through these first turbulent 6-7 days of the protests, I think they deserve our support, our encouragement, and more importantly, our acknowledgement of what they've had to put up with and how they have conducted themselves. There are those that believe that you have to meet peaceful protesters with forceful tactics. For those of us who are students of history, or those of us who are old enough to have experienced it, we know those forceful tactics can result in dogs, fire hoses, and billy clubs and horses being utilized on peaceful protesters. That's not what we want to see done here. We've learned that lesson generations ago. It's one that we don't plan to repeat. And so we've been trying to work with those protesters, meet them where they are, hear them out, let them express themselves, and no one has done that better than our police chief. He's done it in a model way, in my opinion, that has gotten us thus far and has gotten the attention even of those protesters who are here with a purpose, not those who are faking to be or trying to hide within the crowds of protesting for their own personal agendas, but those who are truly here for a purpose to see change in our system and change that is more reflective of the community. And so I just want to acknowledge that, because it's not without saying that something could happen here much more serious than what we've dealt with thus far. And it's not because of me. It's not because of anyone else, I think, other than our police chief and those police officers who day in, day out do things that we don't see, and who go out in the community, not just risking their lives, but who go out in the community to talk to people, get to know people, so they can get a text message about what's happening and who they need to go and have a conversation with, who they need to listen to and let express themselves, and do it patiently and do it professionally, so that we can have peaceful protests here without incident. So I just wanted to highlight our men and women in our police department, and certainly highlight Chief Finley for the work that's been done, and we'll continue to work as long as these protests go on. We'll continue to try to meet them where they are and listen to them and hear them out, and certainly sit down and talk with them to implement some of the changes, or as many of the changes as we can, that they'd like to see. I said that was my last point, but this is actually the last point, and that is I did want to introduce ordinance regarding mandating masks tonight at the council meeting. However, after polling the council and talking to many of you, I understand that support was not there for mandating a mask in this city. I know many of you still believe that we have to take personal responsibility for that, and we're going to do that. I do think that it's important for us, in light of the numbers that we just showed, to understand that for us to get back to where we want to be, we've got to see some plateauing of the COVID numbers. We've seen some, I think, in the last few days. Had a little one-day spike here, but if we can continue to see that, then I look forward to opening things back up. I hope that everyone will do what they need to do in wearing the mask, but I do think for us, in this hotspot that we're in right now, Montgomery, the mask mandate was not out of step, but I certainly respect the will of the council and what you've chosen to do and how you've chosen to go about doing that. But I want to say, if we haven't seen any change in the numbers in a couple of weeks, and we're still holding off on being able to open up some of our facilities, I'll be calling you back to see about a temporary mandate, to see if I can garner the support and the votes at the next meeting if we don't see things change in our data, because we do have to get our economy back going. We do want to get everybody back to where we were prior to March, and we do want to make sure we're respectful of our healthcare system, and we're respectful of even one another. So while we encourage, which we've been doing since March, for people to wear their masks when out in public and as much as they can, if we don't see those numbers change, don't be surprised when I'm calling you back to try to bring this back up potentially at our next meeting. But I respect where you are right now, and that's all I have, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I appreciate the comments about the police department. They did a wonderful job, and we had a lot of positive comments after last night.
Mr. Denwright, can I ask Mayor a couple questions?
Yeah.
Hey, you know where I'm going, Mayor.
Yeah.
I've been looking at the numbers, and we're flattening out. I think today we had 19. We had a high spot of 110, last week, 78, but then you had 49, 42, 48, 19 today. That June 15th deadline on baseball.
I'd love to keep it. You know, I told you I wanted.
They're flat now.
Internally, I wanted June 1. You know, internally, so I'd love to keep it. So if we can continue that, that's fine, and we'll certainly be checking in again with those hospital number, with our hospital administrators. I had not seen the 19 number. I saw it earlier today, but if it stays like that, and
it may have gotten higher, but that was early, like lunchtime.
Hey, listen, nobody will be happier to get past this chapter than I will be. So if we can, maybe the hospital folks, but if we can get past this and we can see numbers in that range, you know, going into next week, then I don't see why we wouldn't be able to do things by mid-June.
Maybe the first part of the week.
I'm sorry?
Can we revisit this maybe, you know, Friday, first part of the week,
sure,
next week?
I'm always open for business.
Okay.
Every day.
Because they were talking about June 15th, Mayor, is sort of the drop dead date because they want to be done by July 8th.
I understand that.
And, you know, there's a couple ballparks that still wanted to play, and kids from other parks wanted to come to those parks. So they're still trying to push for it. So, I mean, that's all we can ask. And one more question.
Yes, sir.
A bunch of us on the council got emails from, I think, some bars and restaurants about the 10 o'clock curfew. Is there any wiggle room in the 10 o'clock as far as being able to
It coincides with the numbers, coincides with the data. And so again, as we see the data stabilize, or, you know, if it continues along this track, again, I don't mind getting out as well a little bit past 10 and not having to be at home at 9:59 either.
I know that the curfew, Mayor, we went riding last night, and I mean, Atlanta Highway looked like, you know, Christmas time. The day after, and it was after 10 o'clock.
Let me share this. You know,
it was after 10 o'clock.
And I don't think I'm speaking out of turn with what I'm about to say, but the priority last night was not.
No, I know.
It was kind of refocused, if you will.
That's where it should have been.
Yeah, and you know, there's still some little places here and there that I know Chief has worked on, and you know, again, we want to make sure we protect those mom and pop businesses and those small businesses. So there may be some of that in the next, you know, couple of days as we are focused on some other things. But no, I absolutely, if we can see the trend line, if that becomes a trend where we're even close to that, it doesn't have to be 19.
That's all we can ask.
I mean, yeah, we'll be more than ready to lift that and get everybody back to what they were doing. That's for the, you know, the nighttime establishments and entertainment venues, baseball, everything. I would love to be able to get back there downtown, the alley folks and folks here want us to make some changes as well. So I think that would be great for the entire city. And we can keep people wearing their masks, and we see those numbers continue to flatten out, hopefully go down. That would be outstanding.
Thank you, Mayor.
I got one thing. Yeah. Mayor, I'd be remiss if I didn't represent the people in my district. My district, we had a conference call with you today with 9 of my neighborhood association presidents. And they told me that they are looking for the mass. I mean, my thing is that our numbers are going down in some areas, but in those areas that I'm in mostly, no mass. Like last night when I went out to the protest standing next to Chief Finley, that we are asking our first responders to stand in a line with people with no mask on. So not only are they want to go home, but they don't want to take anything home with them. And you know, those guys, young ladies, was up in their face, no mask on, but they stood their ground. So, Mayor, I think that we need to just not wait until the numbers go down. I think we need to be active with it now, because I posted on Facebook. I had a lot of people saying, even doctors, I wear masks 12 hours, but to help my fellow man, I'll put it on 8 more hours. So, Mayor, I'm passionate about us, you know, making sure that we are putting on these masks. You see MPS are doing a lot of graduations. They're not requiring people to come in their building with masks. And I just want to understand that we have a lot of underlying health issues with people that looks like me. So I have to make sure that I represent them, and that's what they asked me to do, to make sure that I'm a voice for them. So I'm telling you today, I go on record to say that I want us to mandate this mask. And that's all I have to say.
All right. Very well.
Okay.
Mr. President.
Is Candy going to speak? Is Candy here?
Yes.
She was going to speak? Candy Cadell on the census?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. Thank you, City Council members, for allowing me to talk to you about where we are with the census for a few minutes. Thank you to the City Clerk and all of the Mayor's staff for helping me set this presentation up. Going to be very brief, and before we turn to the map up there, just let me give you a couple of gentle reminders. And Councilwoman Graham, I have not forgotten about you. It's another reason why I'm here tonight, so hopefully I can make you happy this evening. Just some gentle reminders to everybody in the room. Alabama is on the verge of losing 1 congressional seat. That's the big story when we're talking about the census, the 2020 census. The other part of that story is that there are about $13 billion in federal dollars that should come to our state and then trickle down to our counties, our municipalities, our townships. And if we don't have an accurate count, that won't happen. We won't get our fair share. That's just the bottom line. If we don't have an accurate census count, we will not get our fair share. Alabama's response rate in 2010 was about 72%. I know everyone would love a 100% response rate, but I think the state is willing to settle for an 80% response rate in 2020. Obviously, we'd love an 80% or better response rate also, but we still have a long way to go. Just for your edification from the Census Bureau, I will tell you that the field offices in the state of Alabama for the Census Bureau opened as of yesterday. So they have reopened. They are now going to start the training and the hiring process at the point where they left off. So if you have constituents asking you about their census applications, you can tell them that that process is just getting ready to start up again. They have an operational update. They are asking Congress for permission to move the self-response deadline back from July 31st to October 31st. So everything is being pushed back by 3 or 4 months or so. Paper questionnaires are being dropped off at doors between June 13th and July 9th. That means those packets will be placed at the door. They will not be knocking on the doors. They'll be leaving them at the door for those who have not yet responded online or by telephone to go ahead and fill those out and mail those back. And then interviews for those who have still not responded will take place at houses between August 11th and October 31st. Those are the new dates for when the census is going to conduct their business. As of this morning, Montgomery's self-response rate was 57.8%. Now remember, we're trying to get to 80%. So we're at 57.8%, and that's compared to Alabama's rate, which reached 60% as of this morning. So we are at 57.8%. Obviously, the COVID-19 pandemic wiped out a lot of our plans for all of the events we would have liked to do, the in-person events, the in-person counts, just the different methods that we have of reaching out and saying, hey, you need to go ahead and complete your census. It just didn't happen. That's the reality. What we are doing is we stay very busy with a lot of social media posting, whether that's on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. When there are events, we're trying to participate as much as possible. But what that map is going to show you is that we still have many underperforming census tracts in the city of Montgomery. Let me remind you also that it's very easy to respond to the census. You can do it online at my2020census.gov. And all these points I will be emailing you. I will email you this map also because you're going to be able to play with it and drill down so that you can bring it all the way down to street level and see exactly what you need, what areas need attention. But I'm going to point those out before I sit down today. Also, if you'll remind your constituents, they can mail back their questionnaire if they have a paper questionnaire. They can do it via phone, and I'll send you that toll-free number. They can actually call the office here, the Montgomery County's office here, and I'll send you that number, and that phone is actually tied into my cell phone. So people who call me night or day with questions about the census or actually need help doing it, I can do it with them over the phone. And bilingual assistance is available. I know that OLA here in Montgomery is working with a lot of the neighborhoods in terms of census response in bilingual methods, so they are available for your help. In terms of marketing materials, we have gotten the palm cards. I've had the opportunity to put these in a lot of places. I want to thank Councilman Mitchell because I know when he did his hot dog and hamburger event, we were able to put those in there. We've been to the food bank and inserted more than 1,000 palm cards in the packages that are going out. We're working with Metropolitan UMC Church when he's doing his food distribution. We've actually gone car to car and done census responses there. I mean, it's simple. As long as you have a hotspot, you can get it done. Upstairs, I do have yard signs. I have about 250 yard signs. I also have t-shirts. We don't have a lot of t-shirts, and really what the purpose of the t-shirts is not only if you want to wear them yourselves, but also if you can get people to take selfies in them. If you can get young people to take selfies in them and post it on their social media pages and share it with their friends so that they can see, you know, this is not just some kind of weird thing to do, but it actually does matter. We have banners that will be coming in, about 10 banners. 2 of them will be in Spanish. Ola will be using those 2. But the others can be used when you want to do on-site census events. For instance, our idea was to pair them with the Wi-Fi buses around town and actually have somebody there to do people's census right then and there. And that's what the banners will say, is that you can do your census right here. And of course, social media posts. As I said, we're doing that all day. So if you look at the map, what you can obviously see is that, not obviously, but let me just say, you don't want to see orange and yellow. You want those colors to progress to blue. So our west side, our northwest side, even central Montgomery to the north of downtown and even some downtown areas, and then obviously coming off of Troy Highway, those are the areas that certainly need attention. Councilman Bollinger, you've got rates between 58 and 78% response rates. I would advise that we just keep pushing in that area. Obviously, we want the 50s to come up. 78 is great. Councilman Lyons, you've got a response rate in your district between 52 and 72%, except south of Mount Meigs Road and both sides of Coliseum Boulevard. We're only in the 40s there. Councilman Larkin has a rate of between 35 and 49%, except in Old Cloverdale. So the particular areas of concern include the downtown area, both north and south of I-85, east and west of Lower Wetumpka Road, and the remainder of the district does require more pushing. Councilwoman Graham, your response rates, you've got a huge territory out there. So you've got rates as low as 33%, but as high as 72%. Particular areas of concern include the entire segment off of the West-South Boulevard, north of Hayneville Road, the areas surrounding Maxwell Air Force Base. But I will tell you, I do have a question out to the Census Bureau as to whether or not the group numbers have been turned in for the base, because that could be dragging the response rate down. If that has not been done, that may be a false reading on that census tract, but I'm trying to find that out for you right now. The areas surrounding Maxwell Air Force Base and north and south of Bell Street need particular attention. And so those are the areas I know that we need to do some more pushing on. Councilman Calhoun, your rates are between 49 and 59%. The area north of the South Boulevard between Fisk Road and Fernway Drive is one of the areas certainly that could use more attention. Councilman Mitchell, you've got rates between 40 and 58%. We know that the areas west and east of Virginia Loop Road and east and west of the Troy Highway could use additional attention. I will note that there is a large Hispanic population in that area. And again, I would encourage you to partner with OLA to see how we can really reach that population. I also can provide you with a copy of a satellite image that I have, because there was a line running down the map and we could not figure out what it was, and finally figured out it was a culvert, a ditch that runs all the way down there. But we can show you where your high population areas are in your district, in that area, that particular Troy Highway area. Councilman McInnes, your response rates are running between 32 and 68%. We do know that the area between I-65 and 85 above Fairview Avenue needs attention. And the area south of Edgemont and west of Wilmington Road, that area needs attention. Councilman Pruitt, most of your district is performing well. You've got rates as low as 49%, but you've already got areas that are up to 80%. Yay, yay, that's a great thing.
So Miss Candy.
Yes, sir.
You're saying I'm probably the best out of all 9 of these?
No, sir.
Oh, okay, all right.
No, sir, I'm just gonna give you that 180%. That's what I'm gonna give you this evening. I will tell you that the Carriage Hills area, that needs more attention.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
And Councilman Jenright, responding between 44 and 77%. The area between East Boulevard and Bell Road, north and south of 85, that's an area that certainly needs attention. So that's just a summary of what you're looking at on that map. As I said, blue is where we want to go. That's the direction we want to go. When you're seeing orange and yellow, that's not the direction we want to be in. And we certainly need to push again to make sure that we get those numbers up. So I'm a one-woman office. I can drive the engine, but I need more cars on that train. And so I'm going to ask you, if you could find some partners, whether those fraternities, sororities, churches, neighborhood associations, as somebody mentioned earlier, neighborhood leaders. The Census Bureau had sent me an email and suggested looking at an idea like a competitive neighborhood drive-in census count. So maybe the neighborhood associations want to compete. Nobody has to get out of their car. I actually take a folding chair with me, sit at the window of the car, still 6 feet away, and we do the census that way. It's possible to do it. So even if we did it citywide, or each of the districts picked a night out at Patterson Field, and people were in that parking lot, and if you have hot dogs and hamburgers, people do anything for food. Okay, so I mean, just make it a fun event. We have to think outside the box because we can't do it in the traditional way. So we've got to figure out a way to go to where people are and to get the count done in that way. Again, host in-car events, whether that's a citywide drive-in, anytime as Councilman Mitchell does when you're doing food giveaways, if you're doing, maybe your district wants to give away gift cards, maybe you have somebody who'll donate things that could be given away if people are coming to a central location to do their census. Again, I would suggest making use of the Wi-Fi buses. I'm happy to work with you on that. Since we do have them around town and they're not being used to the extent that we think they should, we certainly can use those as hotspots to get the census done. So that's another way to do it. I'm asking you to help me get out the word about how important it is to do the census, encourage selfies and videos and people posting messages. Because again, that's the way that we're reaching people today. That's probably the most effective way generally or widespread. But again, we don't need to lose a congressional seat, and we don't need to lose over $30 billion in federal funding. The state of Alabama cannot afford that. We can't afford right now to lose a seat. We need good representation, not less representation. And we want to keep that, and we want to keep our federal dollars. And you've got to impress upon your constituents how important it is, because they are setting the agenda for the next 10 years. So tell these young people that when you're out and talking to them, they're setting the agenda for the next 10 years. This is what the census is going to do for us. Thank you very much. Are there any questions?
One thing, I have an event on the 14th, so I call you so we get on the conference call so you can tell us what we need to do to.
That'll work.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Candy. Okay, first item.
Mr. President, item 1, hearing on proposed ordinance rezoning one parcel of land located at 2665 Todd Road from a B2Q district to a B2 district.
Mr. Tyson.
Mr. President, the Planning Commission recommended the rezoning of this property from B2Q to B2, and it was restricted to a car lot, and the owner wants to be able to do other business, commercial activity there.
Is the owner of this property here? Anybody here from represent this property? Come forward, please.
We need to check and see if there's anybody on the phone also, Mr. President.
Yeah, I'll check on that too.
Yes, sir.
Your name for the record, please, ma'am.
Ruby LaFleur.
Okay. Is anybody on the phone who would like to, this is a public hearing, would anybody talk about this item on the phone? None?
I don't hear anyone.
No, okay. I declare the public hearing's been held. It's brought before the council. Need a motion? Who's that? Just give me a motion to approve. Have a motion to adopt. All in favor, raise your hands.
Unanimous. The ordinance is adopted.
Good luck with your business, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 2, hearing on proposed ordinance rezoning one lot located on the north side of Martin Street, approximately 350 feet east of Jackson Ferry Road, from an R60D to an R99S district.
Mr. Tyson?
Mr. President, the Planning Commission recommended the rezoning of this property for allowance for a mobile home.
Okay. Is the owner of this property here? Item number 2. Item number 2, north side of Martin Street. Is that you? Come forward, please. You're not there? Okay. This is a public hearing. Anyone want to speak against this item? Be heard at this time. Do we have anybody on the phone? Okay, I declare the public hearing has been held. Proper for the council, need a motion?
Move to uphold.
Have a motion to adopt. All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous. Ordinance is adopted. Item 3, hearing on proposed ordinance rezoning 2 parcels of land located on the northeast corner of South Jackson Street and Centennial Way from an O1 district to a T5 district.
Mr. Tyson?
Mr. President, the Planning Commission recommended the rezoning of this property to allow a loft apartment, a salon, and a school care program.
Okay. Person that owns this property here, please. Yes, sir, come forward. Tell me your name, sir.
Jose Harris.
Okay, Jose, and you want to use this property for what?
After school program.
Okay, after school program, okay.
Not just that, but after school program, a hair salon, and also a loft on top.
Very good. Anybody on the phone to discuss this item? This is a public hearing. Seeing none, declare public hearing's been held. Proper for the council, need a motion?
Motion to adopt.
A motion to adopt. All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous. Ordinance is adopted.
Good luck with your bid. Good luck with your business, sir.
Thank you.
Item 4, ordinance authorizing the issuance of taxable GO warrants for $15 million.
Any questions, Ms. Betty? I think we discussed that. Betty, you come in. Anybody got a question on this item? The reality of this is BB, one of the banks is asking for additional information on the original bond, original line of credit that we talked about. Is that right, Betty?
Basically, what the attorneys for the financing institution, which is BBVA, for this $15 million line of credit, is that they're putting the material terms into this ordinance that's before you this evening, as opposed to within the agreement like the other institution.
They want the separate ordinance, okay.
But it's part of the $35 million resolution.
Yeah. Anybody got a question of Finance Director Betty Billwell? Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That's great.
Much appreciated. Thank the mayor for his confidence.
I need a motion.
Motion to suspend the rules.
I need a motion. Okay, motion to suspend the rules. All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
Motion to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
Thank you.
Ordinance is adopted.
Thank you, Betty.
Item 5, ordinance granting a license agreement to William and Lorraine Ritchie to construct, install, and maintain fence and shed over a portion of right-of-way of Belmont Avenue and Felder Avenue. Terrace. Felder
Representative,
Terrace.
item number 5 here, please. We don't have to have a public hearing on this. We just got to.
No, sir. This is not a public hearing.
Anybody got a question? Just your name for the record, sir.
My name is William Ritchie.
Okay, Mr. Ritchie. Anybody got any questions, Mr. Ritchie? Okay, I need a motion to suspend the rules.
Move to suspend the rules. Motion to suspend the rules.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
Need a motion to adopt.
Move to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous. Ordinance is adopted.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, sir.
Item 6, ordinance amending ordinance number 81-2003 to correct the legal description of Capitol Heights, Winona Historic District.
Okay, anybody here represent this item? Tommy, what's the deal?
This ordinance was adopted with a faulty legal description back in 2003, and this is just to correct that. We're going to record all the historic districts so that when they run the abstract on the properties.
So this is an in-house issue?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anybody got any questions of Mr. Tyson?
Motion to suspend the rules.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
Motion to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous. Ordinance is adopted. Item 7, resolution setting a public hearing for July the 7th at 5 p.m. on the proposed adoption of the technical codes of the City of Montgomery with deletions and amendments. And you'll see listed there all of the codes, and they're all 2018. There's one in there that says 2019, but it's 2018.
So we have a public hearing on July the 7th. Okay?
Yes, sir. We need to adopt this resolution.
Okay. And then number 8.
Number 7, we need to adopt.
Oh, yeah, adopt. Okay. Need a motion to adopt.
Move to suspend the
Need a
rules.
motion to suspend the rules.
Move to suspend the rules.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
Motion to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous. Resolution is adopted. And of course, 8 will be, it is the ordinance, and it will be carried over for action following the public hearing on July the 7th. Item
Okay.
9, resolution supporting application of the Montgomery Area Chamber of Commerce to the Economic Development Administration to plan and conduct a tourism marketing campaign in response to COVID-19 impact.
Since you and Dawn, you and Sharon are here, so you can both come up here and answer any questions. Anybody got any questions on this item? This is strictly a grant that's being put together for the chamber so they can use it for tourism attraction in a time we really need it bad. So they're applying for this, and we just need to approve it. Okay? Anybody got any questions of this too?
I got some questions.
Yes, ma'am.
What's the plan? What's the game plan?
So what we are doing,
Pull that mic down, Dawn.
we've got targeted market research that tells us who our typical visitor is, and then we're adapting based on national standards to COVID back out to those groups, targeting them. We will also reach back out to families that are traveling through that want educational travel experience, outdoor travel experiences. So it's a number of things, but it's a little bit scary how social media can drill down and target people very closely. So we feel really good about it.
Okay.
Okay? Anybody else?
Motion to suspend the rules.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
Motion to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous. Resolution is adopted. Item 10, application for a lounge retail liquor Class 1 license doing business as Freeze Daiquiri Bar and Grill at 115 East South Boulevard.
Representative for Circle K, it's you.
Sir?
You're here?
Yes.
Okay, your name, sir?
Larry Scott.
Okay, we got you here. Get the microphone, okay.
Larry Scott.
Sir?
You said my name, Larry Scott.
Okay, Larry. This is a public hearing. Anyone like to speak against this item, please come forward or speak up on the phone. Any calls on the phone? Anyone in here want to speak on it? I declare the public hearing has been held. It's brought before the council. In a motion?
Move to suspend the rules.
Have a motion to suspend the rules. All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
Move to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous. Resolution
Good
is
luck with your business,
adopted.
sir.
Thank you.
Item 11, application for retail beer and retail table wine off premises only, doing business as Circle K Store, 318 Madison Avenue.
Okay. Your name for the record, who is the Circle K?
Sabrina Phillips.
Okay. This is a public hearing. Do we have anybody on the phone that would like to speak against this item? Seeing none. Anybody else? I declare the public hearing's been held. It's brought before the council. Need a motion?
Motion to suspend the rules.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Well, I got a question. Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Tell me your name again, love.
Sabrina Phillips.
Are you the one applying for this license?
It's probably the realtor company. Is it Michelle Anderson that's on there? Or Don Pennell?
I see an Angus Powell.
They can have a representative here.
Randy Horn.
This is for the new gas station? Okay.
So you just work there?
Yes,
Is that
ma'am.
what it is? Okay.
Yes,
but
ma'am.
The owner's not here?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
You see it,
Okay.
Angus Powell, that's what.
Yeah, I see Angus Powell, but that wasn't even the name she just gave me. That was different from the name she just gave me, so I'm just trying to figure out.
Sometimes they'll
how
send
they
a
connected.
manager.
Yeah,
Okay.
send somebody else.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. Did I have a motion to suspend the rules?
Yes, sir, we have a motion. We
All in
need the
favor,
vote.
raise- It's already done.
Motion
We
to
don't, we
adopt.
need the vote.
Motion to adopt. All in favor, raise
All
raise
in
your hand.
favor of the motion to
Adopt.
suspend the rules.
Unanimous.
Okay. Good luck with business. Thank you.
Wait, that was just suspension of rules.
Y'all come back,
You
come
gotta
back.
make a motion to adopt
Hold it,
now.
hold it.
Yeah, come on back.
That was the vote on the motion to suspend the rules. Now we need a motion to
All
adopt.
right, need a motion to adopt.
Motion to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous. Resolution is adopted.
I thought Richard did adopt anyway. Okay, done.
Item 12, application for retail beer and retail table wine off premises only, doing business as Sitco Food Mart at 1600 South Decatur Street.
Representative 2 Plus, please. 2 Plus Sitco. No one here from that. We'll have the public hearing on this anyway. We have anybody on the phone who'd like to talk about this item?
Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
Mr. President,
Yes,
if I may just say one comment. This is in an area that's very close to where I live. I know it's also in an area that's close to Council McInnes and Garden District. And I would want to make sure that whoever has applied for this has spoken with the neighborhood leaders in the Garden District. We've had a lot of challenges that I've shared with Chief Finley. They've been shared with my Chief of Staff, Chip Hill, as well, regarding various activity. And I just want to make sure that they have spoken with the Garden District president as well as those that are in the...
We can carry it over. They're not here tonight. I don't...
Yeah, that been the president. If they don't show, we just carry it over.
Mayor, I think the one that you're...
Go ahead.
Let's carry that over.
Well, Clay's got to answer them too.
Mayor, I think, we're on item 12. Are you talking about the one on Carter Hill Road or this one?
This one.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Decatur Street, South
Carter
Decatur.
Hill Road is next agenda. Yeah, let's carry it over. I agree with you, Mayor.
Okay, public hearing's been held. We'll carry it over the next meeting. Okay?
Yes, sir. Item 13, resolution reappointing the council president, president pro tem, and finance director, and appointing the mayor's chief of staff to the Emergency Communications District Board of Commissioners.
Need a motion to suspend the rules on this item?
Motion to suspend the rules.
All in favor, raise your hand.
7.
Hey, who did miss? You up?
Miss Graham.
Ms. Graham there?
Yeah, hold on, I got a question.
Okay. Go
My
ahead.
question is, has anybody talked to Tracy and see if he...
I talked to him today.
And he still want to build it?
Well, he's by position, he's on it, okay?
Okay.
He's been on it by position for the last 4 years, so it's by position. If he decides to resign, he can resign from it, but by position, that's the way it works. Finance Department's on it, City Council President Pro Tem. So that's the way it works.
Okay.
Okay?
You
You okay with that?
You still abstaining?
Oh, no, I'm going to go.
Okay.
Unanimous.
Need a motion to adopt?
Motion to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous. Resolution is adopted.
I want to make sure somebody their representation, not just a name. We need to
Okay.
make sure somebody...
Item 14, pursuant to Section 1153B1 Code of Alabama, authorization of demolition of unsafe structures at the listed locations.
Need a motion to uphold?
Motion to uphold.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous. Item 15, resolution assessing the cost of abatement of unsafe structures on various lots.
Need a motion to suspend the rules on the last two items.
Motion to suspend the rules on the rest of the agenda.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous. Ms.
Motion to
Graham,
adopt
you did vote
15?
right. Wait, let me check on Ms. Graham. I didn't see her hand.
Yeah, I voted.
Yes, ma'am. Unanimous.
Okay, now I need a motion to adopt.
Motion to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous. Resolution is adopted. Item 16, resolution declaring, authorizing, and assessing cost of abatement of public nuisances on various lots.
Motion to
Need a
uphold.
motion to adopt. I have a motion to adopt. Okay, all in favor, raise your hand.
I get it.
What now, are you asking a
Do
question?
you have those items?
Yeah, about the listing. They're not the listing.
We don't have one, do we?
You know, the listing.
Okay, all right. All right, did you get your vote? All in favor, raise your
All the
hand.
properties on it, on the board? No, you're talking about the demolition
That's
list.
just the agenda there. That's the agenda. Not yet.
Okay, we've adopted that one.
Okay,
Now I
adopted.
have.
16. Do you have anything else on your desk, Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir, I do. I have contingencies that came in today, so it has not been approved by the mayor yet. And, Mr. Mayor, all of these are, they're vendors at this time. For District 1, $500 to Alabama Kidney Foundation. For District 3, $1,200 to Southeast Artist Collaboration, and $1,500 to Brookview Neighborhood Association. That's okay.
Anything else? Need a motion to adopt?
Motion to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
Okay, one other thing, council. I passed to you, I emailed out last week a copy of the revised budget for this next year. I have talked to Mr. Bollinger about it, but I haven't heard from anybody else. Go back and look at your emails and see what you got. The clerk has got a copy of that, but I am stripping the budget back for next year to really no travel, no frills, because as you heard tonight from the mayor, we've got to cut back, and so we'll have a no frills budget next year. So look at it between now and tomorrow at noon. Let me know. We have to report it in on Thursday at noon. Have to give it to clerk to submit to the mayor, and so I need your input if you don't like what we see. Okay?
Did you have a hard copy of it?
Anyway, give it her.
I can't find mine.
Okay, I can send you another copy tonight.
I'll make you one.
But she got one.
Yes,
But
sir.
we'll
have it
have
ready, but I get
a no
two.
frills budget.
You got a one from
Okay.
last year as well?
All right, anybody got anything else?
You have a copy of that one?
I hear a
Last
motion
year's, I
adjourned.
can make you one. It's part of an ordinance.